Let the games begin. And he also holds the key to Amanda's heart.
Right, Amanda, get down on the ground and give me press-ups now. 10 press-ups, go on, that's it. Go on, that's 1 press-up, 9 more to go. Bullet fire! My tank can crush you, as will I.
Yeah, listen, mate, not all girls go for that aggression thing. It doesn't always work.
You can crush me anytime, James.
Amanda, obviously, yeah.
Right, so what can we say about Total Wipeout? Well, as you saw from the clip, it is a show watched and loved by millions. And today we are talking with a contestant that was loved by Amanda Byron, allegedly. So there's no debate on this subject. One of the absolute best contenders we ever saw on the show. First ever champion of champions, Mr. James Scott. How are you, good sir?
I'm not too bad at all, thank you very much. And thank you for that fantastic introduction. I'm blushing a bit. And I think a word of it could be true.
You know what? I have to say, being called Amanda's favourite, that must have done wonders for your street cred.
It was terrifying what they might do to me. I suppose because I was, clearly I've got my degree of vanity about me, and also being an officer in the army, I was thinking, crikey, what's going on to my reputation? Because your reputation matters.
Yeah.
So when, of course, they turned it on, and not only did they not sabotage my reputation, in the first season, so on the first episode, but they made me Amanda's favourite. So I thought, quid's in. I look brilliant.
Like, yes.
I had no idea. I mean, it turned out better than I could have hoped for.
Yeah. It's funny, those nerves in the moment before the show goes to air is that it's absolute fear, isn't it? Because you don't know how you're going to be portrayed. So you came off good.
To the BBC. They'll decide and they'll just let you know when they want to tell everyone else.
Yeah, what they say goes. So basically, just to set the scene for everyone, we're going to cover 4 main points. Obviously, Total Wipeout. People have been asking questions. They got questions for you. And, I've got a few questions myself. The obvious one, it's been 13 years since the show, what you've been up to since. Other sporting hobbies, because I know you've done a few crazy sporting adventures since, which may explain why you did so well on the show, given how adventurous you are. And then we'll wrap things up with talking about what your current career is. So that's the idea. So, yeah, with Wipeout, bearing in mind, this was 2009, what made you apply for it?
I think I've always had there's always that first to prove yourself in various things when you're growing up. My upbringing was always a competitive one. My older sister, she's definitely an athlete, 3 years older. And so she always had the edge on me growing up until maybe a certain point when we did almost match physical size and capability. Right. So I always had that competitive side to me. And I always had a thirst for things that I thought were cool at the time. I was enthusiastic about gymnastics. I thought it was great. Not totally the wrong size for it, but I thought it was great.
I'm impressed that 6'5" doing like somersaults like you did off the podium of the Wipeout zone. That's good going.
There's definitely some point where mind is over matter, but I think we can be all honest. Mind, that the matter does tend to sort of slow you down at certain points. So I certainly won't be doing any sort of gymnastic tumble routines, but I did like the idea of parkour. But I enjoyed trampolining. I enjoyed skating, briefly, and snowboarding. That stuff I enjoyed, adrenaline sports. The other thing that made me go for Total Wipeout in particular was, as I was growing up, I saw things like Gladiators.
Yeah,
and I thought, when I'm older, I'm going to be on that. Sure enough, it didn't quite make the 10 years of my upbringing. But when I did walk into a sitting room at my parents' house and saw Total Wipeout on television, I thought, that looks amazing. This is my moment. So I waited till the end credits, saw Total Wipeout, Googled Total Wipeout application forms, and that was that.
You know what? It was the same, that episode, because I was watching it and I got a text message off a mate saying, hey, I've just seen the show, you might like applying for it. So, because obviously we applied at the same time, so we ended up in the same, the same series. So what was after doing the auditions and you got the phone call confirming that you've been picked, what was your expectations? Were you sort of thinking, it's an easy 10 grand to win, or is it just, I'm going to throw myself, see what happens? What was your mindset?
I suppose I had the slightly cocksure attitude where I thought, I think I didn't know if I'd win, so I seen I'd be against a lot of other athletes, which I was. But I was fairly confident I could make it look a lot easier than a lot of contestants were making it look on the program. Little did I know, they grease it. So they grease the rampways and things. So that's a bit of a surprise when you get there. And that does explain some of the chaos you see. But I was fairly confident I'd be to do a good job of it. Dizzy Dummies ended up much dizzier than I expected. I was pretty sure it wouldn't affect me. It did.
Yeah, because you and I both had treadmill on our original shows, didn't we? So we didn't experience it. Whereas, so you had it for the first time in the champ show. And do you know what? I don't know. I think I would have been terrible on dizzy dummies myself. I think if I did on my first show, I wouldn't have made the final. I don't think. But,
it was carnage.
Yeah, it really was. Now, you know, something I'm curious about. What was your mindset? Were you afraid of falling off obstacles? Because some people, if they try and if they fall off, their tail goes between their legs, and I think, oh, it's all over. But you just seem to just throw yourself at it. Was that the plan?
That was the plan. So, yeah, something I hardly ever did in the army, but I got right this time, was I listened to the brief.
Right.
So when they told us, as long as we give each obstacle a decent go, we can swim around to the next one.
Right.
So I decided, right. So the main thing I don't want to do is dilly-dallying, trying to do the obstacle properly and then fall off. So I just have a real attempt at it, but not waste time. So I'll basically hit everything at a run. So not only will I at least not waste time trying to balance myself and get it perfect, with the momentum of running at it, I'll at least skip out a lot of the water, so it's a much shorter swim to the ladder. And then clearly, as soon as you hit the water, you want to reorientate yourself and swim to the ladder. So I went onto the course knowing I was going to fall off a lot and ready just to get on straight to the next one.
That is the ideal mindset. It really is, because it was the shit. Like, I watched you on the champ show. They let us watch. A couple of us got to watch your run, and we just watched you take on the balls. It was just the sheer speed that you went at them. When you fell in, you were already at the fourth ball. Whereas if you'd gone really slowly, you would have fallen in much earlier. So that's,
precisely, yeah. Just go for it.
You know, when I saw that, I just thought, that's what I'm doing wrong. That's what I should have done. Because I kept thinking you got to complete everything, but no, you showed the way on that. Just throw yourself at it and gung ho.
Minimize that swim gap.
Out of interest, did you do loads of assault courses in the army at all?
Yeah, so I did actually do something like that. I did this thing called CIOR pentathlon when I was at university. So you go to university, you can join the University Officer Training Corps, which is a thing I fully recommend. It's just a lot of fun, good pocket money or some beer money while still having a good time doing some basic soldiery skills too. But this CIOR pentathlon thing I did was a competition between all the reserve officers amongst the NATO countries. You go to a different one every year, to a different country who would host it every year, using their typical weapons, etc. And the pentathlon involved pistol shooting, rifle shooting, land obstacle courses, and water obstacle courses, and then a 16-kilometer odd orienteering thing. So,
pretty well prepped for it then.
I think I was very well prepped for it, particularly swimming in a life jacket, because we would do the swimming obstacle course in uniform. So actually, I was on a full tissue.
That's restrictive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit. The clothes really stick to you, so you want to. You do learn how to swim with kit on, so that definitely helps.
Oh, huge. Well, do you know what I'm thinking? What we might as well do. Let me get this loaded up, and we are. Oops. Right. Let me go on to share screen. Let's just show a quick montage of a few bits of your time on the show. Okay, can you see this?
Yep.
Cool.
Ken James for the third to cross the big balls. Well, he gave it a pretty good shot. I'm sure a certain special someone will happily run one from that.
She was impressed.
I love that.
James, I might just be in love with you.
I've always loved you. This is really awkward for everybody now. So here are the final six. Now playing for whoa! Donovan, James, Bryony, and Carlos as well. Just Jack's not. Oh! Here we go again. I can't keep up. And I think that might be the best pilot we've ever seen on Total Wipeout. Regardless. He's just showing off. She's already impressed, mate. There's no need. Let's disperse the moment. So the four boys are back at the dizzy dummy. Round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. James makes it to the last donut. And he succeeds, making him our first contestant in the final of the final.
Those donuts were greasy.
Yeah.
One more time! I am so excited at this point. If anyone can do it, then this man can. He has before. So here we go. To the wire. Can he match Chris's prowess on a launch pad? It's going to need to. It looks like he can. He's done it. What a performance. Mission accomplished for Drill Sergeant James.
You done it with 1 minute 10 seconds for the champion.
Brings back a few memories, doesn't it?
Oh, that was awesome fun, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that. Also, a lot of lines I'd like to reconsider, and I've had time to reflect upon them. But overall, yeah, what fun!
Do you know what? I don't know about you, but apart from our time on playing the games, it's all the other little things. You know, the little bit of banter we had on set or back at the hotel. Those are the sort of things that I tend to remember the most. Those little moments,
Yeah.
Especially Anchorman, definitely got us through a lot of things, doesn't it?
Anchorman quotes left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
The moment, the zeitgeist.
I remember daring you for the final, the champ show on the Wipeout Zone. I dared you to try and shout a couple Anchorman phrases, and I've got a feeling if someone watched again on that clip, as you're pushed off the donut, I'm sure that you mouth loud noises.
That was the one I enjoyed. If there was an Anchorman quote I ever used, it was the loud noises one.
That was it. Yeah,
it suited my personality nicely.
Yeah. Well, I always remember on Sweeper, just before we started the Sweeper, do you remember we were like shouting everything back to each other? Why don't you go back to your home on Whore Islands? All this sort of stuff.
They looked at it's one of those game shows where they really want us to get on, isn't it? So they actually look after us quite well and ensure that we do gel as well as possible. And
that was the other thing. Did you notice that we all seemed to, bearing in mind, most of us had never met each other before. Well, we hadn't really met each other before, but we all gelled instantly, didn't we? So they really were good at picking the right sort of people.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
There was no real clashes, nothing. It was just everyone had an absolute blast. So yeah, it was great. Now, I was going to ask you, with Dizzy Dummies, you and I both had Dreadmill on our first outing. So that was your first experience of Dizzy Dummies in the Champ Show. How did that feel versus what you were expecting versus what it was actually like?
Well, I went in there into Dizzy Dummies with a natural sort of machismo attitude where I thought it affects most people, but not me. And clearly enough, when they started spinning it, I was looking up thinking, "Oh my gosh, please end soon!" And then if we stop it, I think we had to unbuckle ourselves, which was just painful. And I had no idea where I was going when I came off.
Really?
I came off and thinking, "What just happened to me?"
And yet you won. And yet you won both of the rounds. I mean, you and Chris were first. I mean, because I'll tell you what I noticed, as you were spinning around, you were trying to focus on one spot and then on it again. And I was wondering, I noticed you were the only one doing it. So I thought, oh, he's got this one sussed out.
So, I've always because you get ballet dancers and ice skaters, when they do their twirls, they always have one point. Now focus on it, come back and focus on it again. So I thought, I'll just do that. Easy.
Yeah. So that was your first time. That was your first time trying that method out, was it?
Yeah, it was. And it must have helped me a bit. But there's one point it gets so fast, that's very hard to keep up. So I came off dizzy.
Yeah.
But I imagine, and we all did. So I wasn't exactly.
Everyone's in the same position. And of course, those donut things, they were all covered in grease as well, weren't you? Because I'm guessing
so cheeky, the production company, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know.
So they warn us beforehand, but you get there, you get to RG, thinking this is going to be easy. Yeah. Then you think, oh, that's why everyone falls off.
No,
because they grease it all up.
Exactly, it's a human mouse trap.
Just brought my ego right back down to earth.
Yeah, well, I think it did with all of us, didn't it? I mean, with me, I remember when I was at the top of the course. Literally within 3 seconds I was in the water because I slipped on that opening ramp, so I thought, that's reality check, obviously I'll tell you, I got to ask you, I mean, because these are some of the questions that fans have asked. If you look on any YouTube videos, okay, first one, obviously everyone asks, did you go on a date with Amanda? That's what they're saying, because apparently you're a favourite.
I love the rumours, but I think for the sake of Amanda's reputation, I should probably be honest about this one. Sadly not. I suppose I had a girlfriend at the time. I think Amanda had a boyfriend at the time, so it just wasn't possible.
Exactly. Yeah, it was basically say, I really appreciate it, Amanda, but I'm sorry, it's just not the right time. Yeah, exactly,
it wasn't the right time. In another world, perhaps there's an us.
James, you broke her heart. You really did.
And her mine.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. Here's another one. The trophy. Obviously, every week we have to hand it back. I'm trying to remember at the end, because you won the end of the series. Did they let you keep it?
I think I asked for it both times. They said
Right.
no. Which,
Yeah.
it's only plastic.
I know.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
I know.
No, they took that. Maybe they're keeping up with the celebrities episode. Which is coming
Of
up
course,
after.
yeah, we had the celebrities film straight after us.
Yeah.
So I remember with me, I asked them if I'm allowed to keep it. They said, no, you got 10 grand. Go and buy yourself one. Okay.
It's
I
like,
know
oh,
my
come on.
place. So, of course, this is the other thing. Whereas you're one of only 3 people that won the show twice. So you had like a 20 grand paycheck rather than a 10. Do you mind if I ask what you spent the money on?
So before I went, I think my soldiers were quite cunning, and they said to me, "Boss, when you go out there, will you will you be funding a troop do?" I was fairly confident I may not win it, so I thought, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
At least I'll get the kudos points for saying I would.
Yeah.
But sure, yeah. Undoubtedly, when I got back, they aren't the type to forget these things. So the troop corporal came up to me and said, "Got that troop do, sir, that you said you'd fund." Well, good point. So he organised it. I funded it. Hopefully, I'm sure he didn't skim any money from the top.
Yeah.
So a good chunk went to that one, and then the rest went towards buying my first property, the buy-to-let property in Stoke. So I got one went to fun. A good chunk went to fun, and the rest went to buy my first.
More sort of business orientated and career change. Because actually, it's interesting to say about the property. We'll talk about that later. Because that's something you've been into in recent years, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's sort of my way of getting into getting more fun in life. Hopefully, is the plan.
Yeah. So, of course, the other thing as well. I mean, what people wondered about was your. They saw how good you were on the show. What other stuff were you doing in your spare time? And well, I'll tell you what. Let me get this loaded up. In 40 seconds, I basically a little scroll through your Instagram. We've got a little summary of basically what some of your sporting activities were. So let's get this clip loaded up. And okay, just waiting for it and go.
Showboating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
More showboating.
More showboating.
Party trick, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that is my party trick.
Yeah.
Showboating again.
Yeah.
That was fun.
This jump that you did terrifies me.
See, I always turn left off the path there as well. My attempt at free flying. That was a free flying test. So
really?
It's like an FF1 qualification where you learn you get different types of skydiving. One's typical belly flying where you do formations, which you see typically, and then somebody decided they just do it on their head or standing up.
Right.
And that's basically where you're not on your belly, but you're going feet down first. Right. And that's called free flying. So there's a different set of qualifications you need to do that particular type of skydiving.
Okay, yeah.
So that's my free flying 1 qualification assessment.
Right. So how long a period of time did that take place over? All the free fly and skydiving, that sort of stuff.
Skydiving. So I first did skydiving on my gap year when I was in the army in Cyprus.
Right.
There was a drop zone nearby where they did skydiving.
Yeah.
So I learned how to skydive there. That was in 2002, around that time.
Right.
And then I just kept skydiving throughout my time in the army. So I last jumped around 2019. Since getting this property, I've basically pulled in all the expenses whilst I get started up. So I'll be back at it again soon. My wife is very much still at it. Right. It's about, I suppose, a good 10 years of skydiving. I mean, maybe 15.
I think that when I saw that, the first 2 words that came to mind: adrenaline junkie.
Yeah. When it comes to sports, you get ball sports where the ball is the one doing all the flying, or extreme sports where the human is the one doing all the flying.
Right. Yeah.
I suppose it's those sensations I see, the excitement of trying all these new things. Sensations, perhaps you could call me. It's an adventure.
Yeah, it's a sort of highs you just don't get with everyday sort of living, do you? You got to do something that's out of the ordinary sort of thing. It's just. I haven't done skydiving, so I can't comment on that, but it looks amazing. Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. You are there just flying around your friends most of the time, just messing around. There's always the excitement as you jump out of the plane, the change in speed, the acceleration you feel, and all the things you can learn around that. Just things like that just really excite me. And I suppose I enjoy life, and the main things I enjoy are just these thrills, these sensations, and people. So I like to do more of that in life.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? There's two things that you've done that I really want to talk about, and this one is this ultra trail marathon. This is it, the Borneo Ultra Trail Marathon?
Yep, the Borneo Ultra Trail Marathon.
Yeah. So hold on, let me just get a shot of, so to help people get a little visual. It's all right, it's going to load up in a second now. This is the wonders of technology. There's always a lag. So was this before the start, or?
That was just before the start, yeah.
Before the
So
start, right.
you've got me and my wife there, then some fellow people, some fellow loan service officers near us.
Now, can I just confirm? Am I right in thinking that Lucy absolutely kicked your ass in this?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a theme in my life. Girls kick my ass at most things. So my older sister, clearly, when I was growing up, was always the dominant one and thrashing me in everything we did. And would somehow dip out when we got to a certain stage where I might have a chance. And then again, I clearly went off and met Lucy. And well, before I went to Brunei, before she went to Brunei for 2 years, I was the faster runner. I was the better runner.
Right.
So when she gave me a call and said, "There's an ultra marathon on. Do you fancy doing the 50-kilometer run with me?"
Yeah.
Knowing I was fitter than her, or assuming I was still fitter than her, I said to her, let's do it properly. Let's do the 100K, since we get to do it.
Yeah.
And I knew I just got her pace, which would be, which would hopefully mean I'd be in my comfort zone the entire way around.
Yeah.
It became very apparent to me about 5K in that things had changed. I come from cold Blighty, and there she had been well acclimatized out there, but she's a ninja in the heat anyway.
Right.
But it's got to the point where, and then I knew things were going to step up and get really bad for me when we got to the bottom of the main mountain, about 25K in.
Right.
And a chap said to us, "You are second place female." Well, he didn't say it to us, he said to her.
Right.
And so you can see the mindset change in her, where she said, "Right." So we clearly went pounding up this hill. I started getting some kind of heat injury, slowing down. We couldn't quite work out what it was. I insisted she keeps moving. She said, "I'll wait for you." And then we'd overtaken this first place female by now.
Yeah.
And then she said, "No, I'll wait." And I'd drag on, I'd dribble on a bit more. And I'd say, "No, you go ahead."
Yeah.
And then when second place female caught up with us again, she said, "Scotty, I'm going now." And she went straight off, and they just blitzed the next 70 kilometers. I mean, curled up under a tree at the top of the mountain, where there's a nice breeze. I depleted my camelback of water, and then basically limped down to the river and the checkpoint at the bottom of the mountain, where I just recovered for the next half hour before carrying on at my own leisurely pace.
Yeah.
I did pretty well, I thought. I got 28th position out of 300 odd,
Good.
which I thought was good.
Yeah.
Until I realised that she had beaten me by about 6 hours the first time, 7 hours the second time we did it the following year.
My goodness.
Never mind.
Yeah. But you're not in any way bitter about that at all, are you? No,
Not at all.
No, I didn't think
she did it with a close friend, sort of for a third time.
Yeah.
And actually, he was a fit runner. He lived out there at the time.
Yeah.
He even said to her before they got to the finish line, obviously a bit less secure than me, "Could you wait for me before we get to finish line? I don't want my friends to see me finishing behind you."
Right.
So that's the kind of situation we were in. She's just an absolute machine when it comes to running, and in the heat, it does not affect her.
And now I've just thought, whereas the heat may not affect her, was she confronted by a ferocious jungle tiger?
Had she been confronted by a ferocious jungle tiger, John, she would not have lifted up a tail. It's a hero to get through that kind of confrontation.
Now, that leads me to my next question. James, did you square off against a ferocious jungle tiger during your...
We stared each other in the eyeballs. And, well, admittedly, I might have won that sort of, gave up the ground, but I came out alive.
Well, let's find out. Let's see what happened in this duel. Wait for it.
It's so cute. Small kitten, jungle kitten. And then it's at me. I think maybe he was just trying to make friends with me, but I was convinced I was going to get rabies when it just clawed without my shin. So what was a moment of, I thought, connection between a nice floofster.
You should have got a t-shirt saying I'm a cat rabies survivor.
I might get one soon. I think people may start walking away from me, assuming I still have it in a dormant way. So maybe I'll keep that in the drawer.
Yeah. But course, the thing is, just to sort of summarize for people, people are familiar with London Marathon, 26 miles or 42 kilometers. This was 106 kilometers, you said, as the crow flies. However, you've got nearly 5,000 meters of elevation as well. And well, look, we've got the stats here on Strava. Let's just go back to it, because this is just beyond comprehension of what you did. So you actually, according to this, 132 kilometers you covered, 4,800 meters gained. That is insane. And you were going for 24 hours.
Yeah. It's a particularly brutal ultramarathon. I'm sure there's some worse ones out there, but this is definitely up there. It's the heat of the jungle. It's humid, and it's hilly and almost all off road.
And also, what's the topic at the moment in the UK? Everyone's complaining about the heat. Oh, it's so hot and all that. This is the heat that you experienced during that thing. Minimum temperature 79 Fahrenheit and 95. I mean, 95, that's about 36 degrees, I believe.
Something
you were
horrendous.
competing in that.
So when I do try to caveat my story about Lucy thrashing me by saying, I came from the British winter. In fact, for the second one, we come from the Japanese ski trip. And meanwhile, she is, over the course of years, she is well climatized to that heat. I wasn't. So that's a big story of mine. But you'll notice on the elevation gain, where it gets the highest point, it also happens to reach that point of midday where it gets really hot in temperature.
I'm just looking. Yes. Yeah, I can see it.
So maybe about a quarter way in. So that was the point where I really did pile in hard.
6 or 7 hours in, roughly.
Yes, that's about it. Yeah, for my time.
Was that around the time when you went up against? So around about 6 hours. That was about the time you went up against Jungle Tiger as well, wasn't it? So
that was about the time. Yeah. So that was literally just like one big compressed moment of chaos.
Exactly. You had everything thrown at you, didn't you?
Everything. Yeah. Exactly. Ferocious jungle tigers. A lot of heat and a sucking great big hill.
Yeah.
7,000. Yep. There you go. Mountain, which I had to make my way up.
Yeah.
And clearly I piled at the top, but then sort of recovered and made my way back down.
Yeah. So I think, is it this next one? So yeah, this was finish line. Now, was this the original crossing the finish line or the reshoot?
I think I sort of I limped most of the entire thing right up to behind that blue hut.
Right.
No, okay, you're right. I do remember now. That was a reshoot. I came in at a marginal gallop and then instantly felt very sorry for myself.
Yeah.
And then drove through. And I thought, no, wait, Lucy, take a photograph of me.
Yeah.
I went back and summoned all my strength, the remaining reserve strength, and came through in a sprint.
Yes.
That's clearly what I posted.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I was to be honest, that is absolutely not how I ran the ultramarathon. If it was, I'd done it, say, 6 hours? Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think my white face suggests that I'm pretty ill at the time.
So, did I hear something that afterwards you decided to challenge us to an arm wrestle to try and draw 1-1 or something with them?
Yeah, but I didn't quite make it to the table, so did not attend.
Oh, so you were 2-0 down at that point then?
2-0 down, yeah. So I just don't compete against them. Well, she's now very into CrossFit, Lucy.
Right.
I go there just to keep the marriage alive, really, just with her. But it's painful stuff. She's still flashing there too.
Oh my goodness! Of course, the other one as well is that you've just done the Mountain of Hell race. You were talking about this the other week. I've got a little clip because I assumed that was a mountain. You think uphill. This is actually downhill, isn't it? You start on an icy mountaintop, and well, it is absolute carnage. So if I just go to this a second, and you can tell me it's only a few seconds. This is just
brutal.
I think this was from a couple of years ago, but
that was 2018. Luckily, not my one.
This is just once one goes, everyone goes.
Look at the chap crawling at the front and the bottom. It's outrageous. But those bikes, they're thousands of pounds a piece. So look at the money that's just going down the drain.
No. It's just, you can see the ones coming down now. They've got no chance because you're on an icy surface and you've just got like a massive pile of bodies in front of you and bikes.
Exactly. There's no hope for them. They can spot the accident happening 200 meters off and not be able to do anything. It's a very, very slow but inevitable movement towards carnage.
Yeah. Well, of course, if anyone wants to see what this event looks like, it's the Mountain of Hell race, yeah? So if they search for that on YouTube, I saw one video of a guy who actually had a GoPro and he filmed his entire run because he was trying to go from last to first. He got a puncture halfway down.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just this. There are other parts of the course that are absolutely terrifying. Because you're on a narrow track, you can't overtake. Then you've got other stuff where you have to hop off the bike, isn't there? There's loads of...
Lots of it. Yeah, so it's a 15-kilometer downhill race.
Right.
Yeah, the overall actual descent in altitude is about 2.5 kilometers.
Right.
So you take it to the top of the glacier of the Des Alpes, and then you finish down the town right at the bottom of the resort.
Right.
And it's just 40 minutes, or for good guys, maybe 20 minutes of absolute fun. For many, sheer terror.
Yeah.
And I attended this just in the hope of surviving.
Yeah.
I'm at the, I'm in my late 30s now. I want to get all the fun city sports out of the way before I get too old and lose the ability to bounce. So downhill mountain bike is something I've got quite into, but the Mountain of Hell is just a very exciting race. And I want to go back and get myself further up the pecking order because so I can get around the mess.
So you can go back and then renew your vow to never do it again, and then renew the vow the following year.
You know it well. It's like the ultra marathons. I'll never do that again next year. It'll be my time.
I know. Yeah.
Do it. But my German friends out there called me Bowser. If you remember Mario Kart from N64, he's a great big slow guy on the tiny scooter who you just can't get past, or you can't push over. He's just stuck to the route and he's annoyingly slow. Right. So they call me Bowser. It's a bit of a one-track race, and so it's quite hard to get around me, which means I'm probably the most frustrating opponent there.
So I think we've basically sort of summed up what you've done, which is basically skydiving, Mountain of Hell race, ultra marathons. Obviously, to wrap things up, we want to talk about your career now. You hinted about the property stuff earlier, and you actually did a podcast a couple of months ago, didn't you? If we just go to this was what you did 2 months ago. So is it on? This is iTunes, isn't it? Is it on other podcast facilities?
I think it's out there on all podcast platforms.
I'll put a link in the description for YouTube. Anyone watching this on YouTube, I'll put a link to this podcast in the description. So if anyone wants to click on it. So tell us. In the last few minutes now, when did you start with properties, and how's it going now? What's the reason?
So I suppose, when I was younger, my father, with his flying pay, etc., and with his brother's sister, bought a property in Wandsworth in London for something like £17,000. I thought, that's a lot of money. And then he held on to that house in Wandsworth in London for maybe 10, 15 years. And all that time, he had people living in there, which meant that house was paying him money. But the biggest shock to me was when he sold it. Having bought it for just about £70,000, he sold it 15 odd years later for £800,000.
Did you say 70k to 800,000?
Yeah,
that's more than 10.
That's what property does. So I thought, crikey, well, I want a fun life. I want to be able to afford a good life. So I should probably get into that one day. So clearly it is always my intention to join the military. So I did 10 years in the military. After my first Afghanistan tour and with my Total Wipeout money, I bought my first property, an affordable £36,000 house in Stoke-on-Trent. I built my way up from there. And so the lady you see on there, Rachel Charlton, she's somebody I know, and she basically sort of introduced me to property. I had a couple of mentors on the way, of which Rachel is one. And basically in 2018, when Lucy got sent to Brunei, I decided I'd put my money where my mouth is, because I've always been talking about property, and start up a business in Bristol. So I'm now flipping properties where you buy, refurbish, sell for cash profits, and then also keeping properties as well, so I can get a casual income. So I can then move on to do other things without having to get a job just for money.
Got you. That's brilliant. It's just fascinating hearing this, because I've got to ask, with all the properties you bought, you haven't secretly popped up on an episode of Homes Under the Hammer, have you? Because I've watched a few of those. I'm just thinking.
Not yet. I'll try to stay clear of those. Although they come to me, my vanity may lead me to say yes, please. I'd hate to embarrass myself on those things. So safer just to tell them about what I do under my own control. But it should be the lifestyle. If I have a family, then I'll be able to afford look after the family, and I'll be able to afford the fun sports and silly things I like doing. So. Because actually, just one final thing. Am I right that you're basically buying properties, doing them up and selling them? Do you do any rentals at all, or is it just... Yep. I've got some rentals. So two businesses. One's to flip, which I do with a teammate. So I met at Seneca's mentoring course. And together we flip, we convert, and we develop properties and then sell them for cash. And then in my own private company, I hold properties.
Right.
So I use that for Airbnb properties and things like that, and buy-to-lets. I'll probably get some commercial shops in there as well, just to spread the risk across the portfolio.
Oh, so when someone makes it, so it could be one day I'll make a booking on Airbnb and then discover that you're the host, because I actually stayed in an Airbnb last week, so I'll have to.
A few surprises around the house just to make your stay extra comfortable.
Yeah, a few Red Balls, a few trampolines, that sort of stuff.
Comfort zone.
Yeah. Look, honestly, James, I've got to say thank you so much for doing this. It's been great. I can't believe this is the first time we've spoken face to face since Argentina. It's been.
It has been. We've exchanged some messages, haven't we? But
no, exactly. It's only messages, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, at least social media gives us a chance to stay in touch, but to actually sort of talk face to face, we'll actually have to catch up in person, at some point. So, because you're
around your neck of the woods a lot of the times.
Okay, right. We'll have to arrange something, definitely. But look, I really thank you so much for doing this. And I tell you now, frequently in comment section, people are asking, "Oh, can you do an interview with James? I'd love to hear what you had to say." Literally 2 days ago, someone said, "Oh, I'd love it if you did a one with Drill Sergeant James." He didn't call you Amanda's favourite. Sorry about that.
It's all right. At least my name has been remembered.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We'll wrap this. I'll tell you what. In the title, I'll put Amanda's favourite James. Okay. We'll go with that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
We'll go with that heading. Yeah.
Let's go for that image.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about appearances. Yeah. Right, James. Thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it. So
You too, John. Really good to see you.
We'll catch up soon. All right, cheers.
Great. Thank you, mate.